This is Africa's voice in Italian football.
How's it, guys? And welcome to the 6th episode of Calcio Mzansi. I'm your host, Antonio Cristadi, and I'm joined here with my very good friend, Angelo Napoli. How's it, Ange?
How's it, Anto? It's always good to be back. Can't wait to talk about some nice soccer this afternoon.
Yeah, 100%. So we all know that obviously you guys had a bit of a hectic time at varsity, test week and so forth, but we're now doing this episode after Italy has just beaten Israel 3-0, and I'd like to start the episode there. What are your thoughts after this game?
Yeah, I mean, it was actually a hard game. We started very difficultly because Israel always against Italy lately has been like showing up, and they're just putting their best every time they play us. Their performance are always on point. So I need to give a good word for their players, because also it's not easy to come in Italy and try to bring up like a good battle. And I think they did. Luckily, we have those players that can always make the difference. I'm talking about Retegui. Like, what a player, Anto. What do you think about him?
Yeah, it amazes me that someone has left one of the top 5 leagues in Europe and has gone to Saudi Arabia and is still good enough to score for the national team. And I want to give props to this because obviously we've seen Ronaldo still scoring for Portugal on that side. Maybe that Saudi Arabian league isn't as bad as what people make it out to be, and it is a league that we can consider taking more national team players from. Retegi, beautiful penalty, nice comeback after missing the one against the game against Estonia. But for me, the standout goal is that Tiragir, si dice così, or Tiragir, beautiful finesse goal from the bottom left of that box into the top right bins all day. Lovely little goal. Lots of credit for working hard and getting that ball back as well, turning it over in their final third. So man of the match for me, Retegi, bravo, fought with all his heart. Sad not to see Moise Kean play with him, but Italy, I can officially say, doesn't have a striking problem. The striker problem seems to be under control. What do you think?
Yes, I mean, we've been struggling in the past to find the actual number 9 that's made us win the championships back in the past. We won the Euro 2020 in 2021 without a striker, actually. If you remember correctly, like we had Immobile, but Immobile only scored like once, if I'm not mistaken. We tried to have a different solution to our attacking problem, and that made us win. But now we're like, I'm telling you, we have an overflow of strikers that Italy can choose from. I'm talking about Retegui, I'm talking about Keane, Pio Esposito as well. So I think we're in the right trajectory to have a nice number 9 that can carry us to the World Cup.
Yeah, I think that's very true. If you think about it, like you said, Immobile, and if we didn't have Immobile, we had no one else. Now we are at the moment blessed. But something that is kind of frustrating me is our midfield. I don't know if Gattuso's calling the right players for our midfield, but at the same time, I don't know what's going on with Bastoni. I'm not really seeing very positive play styles come out of this guy. He's generally very good, but I feel that his confidence at the moment is really rock bottom. I don't know if it's a thing that's caused in Serie A, but I am seeing a shadow of a player who I normally see perform at the highest level. Mancini was good tonight, so I was quite impressed.
Yeah, no, I also think so. But I noticed that Gattuso doesn't like to play him that much, also because he likes to play with four at the back, and Bastoni with Inter is always used to play as a left third center back. So it's complicated maybe for him to get into the routine of playing under Gattuso, because he's also a different game style as Kyrgios. I think right now we're also very solid in defense. With Gattuso touch, because we are not conceding that much. We concede stupid goals like the one against Estonia, but that wasn't Gattuso's fault. It was like Donnarumma's first mistake in many games. But besides that, we're still very, very solid in defense. We have other players that can kind of make us forget of Bastoni's absence. I'm talking about Calafiori, That's for me is like one of the best center backs in the world right now, and I'm very happy to see him play with the national team.
Yeah, I know it sounds weird that we're celebrating that we have secured second place after the game against Israel, and yeah, it's not something that should be celebrated because it means that we will go to playoffs should the other games not go our way. But if I do a bit of quick mathematics and I pull out my calculator,
Go for it.
if Italy beats Moldova 10-0,
Yeah.
and we decide to be like Austria against San Marino and just be ruthless, which I really hope that we do. But if we beat Moldova 10-0 and we beat Norway 3-0, we will finish first in the group. So I am really hoping that this is possible. But for now, we take our small little victories, and that is that we can be in the playoffs. Should we go to the playoffs, it looks like one of our games will be either against Sweden again, or if I'm correct, Northern Macedonia again. And don't think I want to be playing against Sweden. As much as they may not be performing right now, it might just be that game that if we play them, Isaac decides, okay, I'm just going to be that 5-star striker that I was last season at Newcastle. So please, no playoffs. Let's just beat Moldova 10-0 and then go beat Norway.
I mean, I still feel it's gonna be very unlikely. I know you wanna be always a positive guy, but I'm looking at the goal difference. Oh, it must be the miracle to come back. That goal deficit. I think already Gattuso. I mean, I know that he's gonna take it one game at a time, but I was also listening to his interview. He kind of hinted on how he will actually make some players rest, and he will probably also let some Italian players that haven't had enough space lately under his wing to actually play against Moldova and maybe against Norway, because I think he's had this already for the March playoffs. I know that you hate very very much. There's some stats, some percentage of probable opponents that we could face in the playoffs. Like you said, you mentioned Sweden, 19%. Even though they're not looking very good right now in their journey to the World Cup qualification. Right now, they only have 1 point in 4 games, so it's not looking very, very good for them. Then we have Moldavia, 19%, Northern Macedonia, as you also mentioned. Nightmares from the post are coming back down to us, 17%. Northern Ireland, Romania, it's teams that on paper we can beat. So I really don't want to have another World Cup without Italy.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I want to avoid that playoff. I must be honest with you. And look, there is something tonight that kind of upset me in this Israel game because I felt that we should have gone for more. I didn't really feel, and I'm highlighting this specifically. I hope that, let me just quickly backtrack to the game against Estonia. I hope that Donnarumma's mistake is a mistake that happens now and not in a playoff. Should we go to the playoff, and he does what happened against Northern Macedonia. So please, I hope that that's the mistake that needs to be made in order for us to go to the World Cup, that it happened there, and that's that. I don't want that happening in a playoff from anyone, actually. So let's just hope that it stays there, and that was the mistake that needed to be made, but it doesn't happen again. The game against Estonia as well, I feel that we could have won more. We could have won 5-0. We could have won 6-0. But it's like we're missing something, and part of me just feels that our midfield just... We don't have that world-class aspect about us. We've got really good players who could do very well, but it's not... We're missing some sort of piece of the puzzle to get over the line. 3-1 against Estonia for me is not a great win. It's something that you should be, it should be a routine 5-0 win against Estonia, but it wasn't, so we just have to deal with it. Whereas the game against Israel, we were very comfortably in control against them, especially at home. I know it was a very, very toxic and hectic environment. If you had watched the game, there were lots of booings and whistlings and so forth. But I didn't feel that from the players' perspective that they were pushing, like when Mancini scored the goal. I know that there's 2 minutes left, but we've won this game. Go score another goal. See if you can get one more. One more is less work in all the other games that are up and coming. We might only have to beat Norway 2-0 after beating Moldova 10-0. Just trying to do the mathematics here and be like, and play devil's advocate. We could have gone that route. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, there was a the environment wasn't one of the best ones. I don't want to talk about politics, but of course, playing Israel, there were a lot of protests outside the stadium that tried to prevent Italy to play Israel. There were blockades. There were the protests that initially should have been very peaceful, but some groups from the Balkans came and joined some violent groups there in Udine to cause some havoc, and they injured three policemen just outside the stadium just before the match. One reporter got badly injured in the eye. So the environment that Italy was facing this evening against Israel wasn't one of the best ones. So the fact that they still tried to play their best football, they came out with a 3-0 win. I'm telling you, I'm satisfied in general. Also because I'm considering all the surrounding variables that this match could have brought. So I'm just happy that we brought a win. We didn't concede. Like you said, Donnarumma made a bad mistake against Estonia, but he kind of saved he saved Italy in this occasion against Israel. Like 2 insane saves. If you didn't see it, please go rewatch it. Just reaction, just pure talent from the best keeper in the world, Gianluigi Donnarumma.
Just want to touch briefly on it because we are in South Africa and it's very nice news. South Africa, for the first time since 2010, officially after beating Rwanda today, has now qualified for the World Cup in America, which is fantastic. And it's a massive shout out to Bafana Bafana. Bravi ragazzi. I'm stoked. And I actually cannot wait to see what group they get put into. Our local South African boys, we see the talent locally here at a local level. It's nice to see that we've got some youngsters that will be now taking it onto the next level. So well done, Bafana Bafana. You deserve all the praise right now. Brilliant, guys.
It's in our name, Antonio. We're off Calcio, we're off Mzansi. So I'm very happy to see that Mzansi Port do good. And I can't wait them to see in USA to try and give us some hopes, some emotions to South Africa that they've been missing for a while. And I've been missing South Africa playing a World Cup. Take out the vuvuzelas from your cupboard, guys. I want to hear them this upcoming World Cup. I can't wait for it, Anto. I'm really can't.
Yeah, it would be nice. It's going to be a nice feeling being able to, and I'm going to say this now, rock 2 jerseys and support 2 teams in the World Cup. One being Italy that will play in this World Cup, and obviously South Africa now confirmed. So, bravi ragazzi, and freaking let's go do well. Let's go be the African nation that might even go far because we are that good. We are phenomenal. Well done. Just to also put it out there, we've had to play other big teams in our group. The biggest one being Nigeria, who obviously possess ridiculously talented players like Victor Osimhen, obviously Ademola Lookman, and we've obviously placed, in this case, 1 point above Nigeria to qualify for the World Cup. So well done, well done. I hope that this also brings a lot of exposure to our current players that are in that national squad, that they also get the opportunity to come to Serie A and play in other leagues around the world as well and get that South African brand out there. So bravi. Then the next point that I want to go on to is something a bit more touchy. There was an event that was held by Gazzetta dello Sport called Gazzetta dello Sport Festival dello Sport, and there were a couple of big names that spoke. Obviously, a few that I'll mention is Ibrahimovic and Michel Platini, but we also had a player who kind of touched a certain topic in my heart, and that was Balotelli. Balotelli came on and he criticized a lot of the Azzurri team now. And what he criticized was the lack of passion that he sees from the players that play for the Azzurri at the moment. And he says that at the moment, a lot of the players, and in his words, non lo meritano di indossare la maglia italiana, so they don't deserve to wear that Italian shirt. And it bothers him. As it bothers me as well, I also feel that his statements is not wrong. And do you agree with him on he makes a statement like that?
Wow, that's a very bold statement coming from someone with a hot head like Balotelli. I always see Balotelli as someone that likes to stir a little bit the environment, and it's the opposite of what Gattuso wants. Like Gattuso wants to create a group that actually deserves the national team, that are friends not only on the pitch but also outside of the pitch. It's that group that makes us win championships. It's a group that makes us celebrate with them. I also agree that I want to see players that have hunger to wear this beautiful shirt. I can agree with that, but I don't agree with him that right now there's players that do not want to show that passion for Italy. I think that the players that play in the national team right now are the best players that are Italian and that play the best football that they can offer to the national team. So yeah, both statements, but I wouldn't listen to Balotelli after his career. Like he's one of the players that could have brought us a championship, but he had his chance in 2012. But of course, his head later on didn't help him in his career. So I wouldn't just listen to Balotelli, even if he was like my priest.
Yeah, I like that statement. That is awesome. One last thing that he had mentioned is it seems like he wants to close his career off, but he doesn't want to do it playing club football. He wants to do it playing for the Azzurri. So he says his last game would be a nice one if he could have a nice sending off playing for the Azzurri one last time. I wouldn't mind. It kind of just says like his loyalty isn't to a club, but rather if he can just get the opportunity to represent the badge, and I kind of appreciate that. So it would be a nice thing. I just don't know. It will obviously have to be after the World Cup. So if his knees still work, he's going to have to wait till after 2026 to get that.
Antonio, let me be honest with you. In my opinion, I mean, I already thought that Balotelli was already retired, so that says a lot. But I think it's time to give space to the youngsters. I'm sorry, Balotelli, as much as I want you to do one more game for Italy, you can always do like a charity match for Italy. That would work. There's nice youngsters that I want to see. One of them is, we spoke about Camarda, but there's Piccoli that I want to see more about. There's many youngsters, even in the under 21 that right now is doing very good under Silvio Baldini. There's few players that are actually performing very well, and I would actually give the space to them rather than an old Balotelli. But hey, Balotelli, I'm sorry, we found a replacement for you, and it has a name, the surname, Antonio. I don't know if you are aware of him. His name is Jeff Ekator from Genoa. He's crazy cooked. He's so good. He's 18 years old, almost 19 years old. He scored the last match, and he was like the youngest player to have ever scored against Napoli in Serie A. So the last player to have done so was Andrea Pirlo when he was also 18 years old with the shirt of Brescia. Ekator, guys, remember his name. He also scored in the under 21 with Italy. I think he's gonna be the new striker that could help Gattuso achieve everyone's dreams.
That's a nice little point. I think we might as well stay on the Napoli versus Genoa points. It was nice to see a little standout performance there. How did you feel about the game overall, Napoli versus Genoa?
That was a really nice game. I really enjoyed it. It made me see how Napoli can actually suffer and how they can actually overcome those moments of suffering, because that's how you win championship. Serie A is not an easy league. Every team that you can actually think that you can actually beat them 5-0, they can somehow bring a performance against you, and I think that Genoa did exactly that. It was good to see, like I said, Ekator score, some youngsters that have some nice minutes in Serie A. That's something that I will always be a fan of, young Italians that can actually bring some minutes, bring some quality to the Serie A teams, because those youngsters need to play, and they need to play at a higher level. So seeing Ekator score against Napoli made my heart very warm. So that's good for him. I hope that he has a nice and long career. But then, Napoli, like always, comes back. Anto. It's something that's always.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it. Conte always has a way to push all his players, to get the dub.
I want to mention something about this Napoli side, but not even the Neapolitan side. I want to actually give a little bit of praise to the Tifosi of Napoli. if you saw the way that stadium erupted when Rasmus Højlund scored the winning goal, besides the fact that his celebration is freaking iconic. The thumb like this, and then the thump like that, and the roar of the Maradona that you hear through the TV. I had, what do you call it? Goosebumps? Chicken skin? Whatever you want to call it. My body went cold. That is insane. And like I said, I'm a Milan supporter. And it's just, that is, when people say, what is so special about Serie A? You won't get that in another league. All right. Go and listen to the roar of the Maradona after Rasmus Højlund scored. Oh my days. That is passion. And to the Tifosi of Napoli, my heart skipped a beat. That was incredible. The match was lovely. We know that Napoli dominated the match with 70% possession, but they trailed. For majority of the game, they were behind. They only scored in about the 60th minute through Anguissa, and then afterwards with Højlund in the 75th to win it. Still, I'm not too sure about Conte and the way he's running the team. But what I can say is that this Napoli team has got some serious grit. I don't know about you, but for me, it was the passion that stood out the most in this match for Napoli.
Yeah,
I don't know if... Yeah?
Yeah, there's one thing that I've always noticed is that if you give to Napoli, Napoli will give back to you. And defense is the perfect example of that. If you actually put a passion first, then the results will come, and the defense will always be there to support him back, no matter what. They are very, very passionate, and that's what makes Napoli, for me, a contender every single year, just because of the fans. The fans, for me, especially the Napoli fans, are the 12th man that Napoli has in their squad. There's always a big pressure to go and play, and in the stadium of Maradona. It's just something that you cannot replicate anywhere else. It's just very, very difficult for an away team to come in Napoli without feeling that enormous pressure, and it's harder to block your ears because those Napoli fans can scream and sing for their own team for the full 90 minutes. So it's just something beautiful to see. That's what can I say? It's the passion of the southern people of Italy. It's something that they have, and they are like that in everyday life. That lifestyle, that passion, that love, you'll see it also on the pitch and outside of it.
100%. Yeah, it was a very good game. I felt very positive about the way that Napoli played, the way that they were able to turn the whole game around. I don't really think that there's more to obviously touch on in this game. I think that it shows that Napoli is obviously going to compete for the Scudetto. They're going to try, and there's no way that we're going to look at this differently. Napoli is in it to win it. I just hope that they can manage to do it on all three fronts. I want to move over to, for me, I think maybe you could say the best game of the weekend. It was an absolute thriller, 6 goals, but I'm going to throw very quick statements here. Sarri's system at Lazio looks broken, and Torino under Baroni is broken. I mentioned in the previous podcast that Torino's aspirations for this year, hiring Baroni, were actually to make Europe. I don't see that even being a realistic goal. And the reason why I say is they were actually comfortably ahead against Lazio, but threw it away. And Lazio is a team that is in pieces. What are your thoughts? Is Sarri Ball officially dead?
I don't think so. I think he was very unfortunate with the transfer ban. So he's just doing what he can with his Lazio squad. And I'm very sorry to all the Lazio fans, but it's gonna rain in the wet because one of your best players, Castellanos, he's gonna be stopped because of an injury for 2 months. So it's actually gonna be another problem that Sarri will face, and it's not gonna be easy to replace someone like Castellanos. So let's see how Sarri will manage in this little stint that he won't have his best striker. And quick note on that Lazio Torino game. So Cataldi's goal for Lazio against Torino was scored in the 103rd minute. It was like the most latest goal for Lazio scored in the Serie A. This shows how games are not done until the referee whistles 3 times. It's something that many teams stopped believing in, but I need to give props to Lazio for believing until the very end and getting 1 point that in this case is like a golden point because this game was already lost.
Yeah, I actually couldn't believe that they were able to come back in this game. I really thought that the game was sealed and done and there was nothing more to it. But it was nice to see Torino come back. It was nice to see Lazio come back. I have to question one thing. You are winning, and it's literally like just hold the mistakes away. Don't make a mistake. Where is the mentality to make a tackle in your own box like that? I can't understand why that happened. What were you thinking of doing when you're making a tackle like that? You didn't have to do that. Very stupid. Threw away the whole game for Torino. It was an easy 3 points. Lazio managed to capitalize on it, but very interesting. My question is, at what point do the Lazio fans give up and just stop supporting? At what point do they walk out of the stadium and not come back until there is a change?
Well, that's a very odd question because Lazio fans or Russo is one of the most passionate supporters, and they feel the pain when their team doesn't perform as good as they should. I feel the worst thing right now is not only your team. I mean, Lazio, they're doing so bad right now. They're 13th in the log with just only 7 points. That's not only like the worst thing, but Antonio, there's one thing that is worse than that for Lazio fan, and that one thing is seeing Roma being up there at the top with Napoli, first in the Serie A with the same points as Napoli. That's one thing that Lazio fans will be very very upset and angry about because a few years ago Lazio will always be right up there with Roma to kind of face them and challenge them for a European spot like Champions League, like Europa League. But now I don't see that coming.
I don't see it either. I don't. I must agree with you. I think you are spot on there. I want to move on to another draw that happened in the week as well. I actually watched the game. I was quite excited to watch the game, and the way I could label it is Juric with his high press versus.
I think as you were saying about Juric's high press against the tactical masterclass of Como's Fabregas.
Yes, I guess you could refer to it as Juric and his high pressing Atalanta versus Fabregas and his unlimited freedom of play, Como. A game that I felt required Como to keep their heads calm, and they did. But a player that I'm so happy to see score for Atalanta is Samardzic. I feel that his move to Atalanta hasn't been what it should have been. He was a beast at Udinese and a player that I wanted to thrive a bit more under Gasperini at Atalanta. And obviously that didn't really come to life. And to see him score, and it was a beautifully well worked goal. I cannot dispute that. Other than that, I really felt that both teams, it was just hit and miss. None of them got more than a 50% shot on target. Atalanta took 16 shots, 4 were registered on target, and Como took 12 shots and only 4 were registered on target. Funny enough, the goal that Como scored through Perone, which is one of your biggest or favorite players that play at Como, was actually a Trivella cross with no intention of scoring. Beautiful goal, if you ask me. It was like chalk and cheese, or whatever you want to call it, or chalk with wine, or cheese with wine. I don't know, but it hit the back post, bounced in, and obviously, what's his name? The goalkeeper of Atalanta, I can't think of his name right now. Karnesecki, yes, tried to save it and wasn't able to. But all in all, a very tightly contested match between the two teams. They both shared just over 450 passes each. But I really felt that they both didn't deliver what they should have. It's like Atalanta scored and they tried to strangle Como very early on in the game and were unable to keep that high press. In the 18th minute, there was an easy response. And in the second half, it just felt like a game of tactical chess. press, but not too much. Don't give too much. Don't give too little. And did you watch this game, and what did you feel about this game?
Yes, I did. It was a really, really interesting game. The draw was a very good result for both teams, and I think it's the most deserving result. I feel like you already covered a lot about this match, so I would only want to add one more thing about the guys you mentioned, Lazar Samardzic, that I really, really love as a player. He was born 24th February 2002. That makes him, in the post 5 seasons, the second midfielder with at least one goal and one assist in a season. So in each of the post 5 seasons. So I think Samardzic is not only like one of like a one season wonder, but is someone that you can rely on season after season after season, and is only he was only born in 2002. So that shows you how much more potential he has and how much more he can offer to this Atalanta squad. I'm wondering if Inter's Marotta or kind of biting their tongue after that they failed to sign him a few seasons ago, because Samardzic is playing like an MVP. So right now, watch out for Samardzic and watch out for Juric's Atalanta.
Yeah, he's definitely a player that I believe deserves more eyes on him, and I think that he can get it this season. Again, standout performance goes for me to Kamaldeen Sulemana. I thought this kid is crazy.
That's your kid. That's yours, huh? You discovered him before any of us.
He is insane, man. Wow. Like really, wow. Kamaldeen Sulemana, guys. I'm not gonna stop raving about this kid. He is incredible, brilliant, outstanding, brilliant player. Fast, pacey skills. It could fix his shooting a little bit, but phenomenal player. His IQ in the match is very good. I just want to quickly breeze past two little teams or two matches. I did not enjoy the Verona Sassuolo game. It was terrible. I know Andrea Pinamonti did score, but that was a terrible match. Did not enjoy it whatsoever. I know that he scored in the first minute. I did watch it. I had nothing else really to do on that Friday, so it was just I watched it. I was not impressed. The Lecce Parma game, kind of hoped that Parma was going to win it, but Ricardo Sottil scored a. For me, I don't really know if you can consider it even a shot. It was just Parma had a bad day in the office, a game that could have been 0-0. But you know what? It's a stroke of luck is what was required. I'm happy for him. He did score. He is Italian. So bravo, Ricardo. And I can't really say more than that. The game I do want to highlight, and something that, I wish Matt was here to talk about. But, I think we should change the name of the show right now and just say welcome to the Boni Show.
Yeah.
Inter contra Cremonese, and tell me everything you felt about this game.
That was a statement win, not only because Cremonese appeared to be tricky for many teams, Milan, in the beginning of the season, but also because they're actually very solid lately. Seeing the statement win from Inter, even if it can appear just a normal game, I think it says a lot. You can see how players like Bonni can actually shine. What a player! What a game from him! Definitely the MVP. Every single goal that Inter scored had his breath on it, had his touch. Bonni not only scored, but he also provided 3 assists that match to win the game for Inter 4-1. Just awesome player, and I'm glad that Inter found someone that can replace Kanda Marcus Thuram, because even he's battling with a minor injury. Inter fans, do not worry, because you have the substitutes that you are looking for. One is Bonni, and the other one is of course Pio Esposito alongside Lautaro Martinez. So I think up there Inter is very well suited for any problems or any obstacles that they can possibly face in the future.
Yeah, I mentioned it in the last podcast, and Thomas was quite persistent on you can't bench Thuram. And I said, but you risk the chance of injury. And I really felt that in the game that Inter played against Slavia Praha, he should have rotated the squad and not risk injuring Thuram. Why? I felt that Bonni is a good enough replacement to play. Put him on, give him a chance. Kivu was forced to give him a chance in this case, and he delivered. Do you think that this now forces Kivu to look at starting Boni and make him play more often with Pio Esposito, who is actually delivering? The identity is starting to come through. I'm starting to be a bit more impressed by the way Inter is playing. Maybe it doesn't make me happy as a person, doesn't, but the identity is starting to pull through. You can't lie about it. They dominated Cremonese. We're talking a difference of what? They had over 65% possession in that game, over 27 shots. It's only not maybe 9 or 10 of them were on target, but that is ultimate domination. But I do kind of want to throw the meme card in there. Seems like we got our new Berardi in Bonazzoli, just deciding to score against both Milan clubs right now. Yeah, that for me is the meme card right now. The Uno +4 special. Choose what color you want. Just chuck him in over there. That's Bonazzoli. Except this time it was a reverse, and Inter decided to give Cremonese a +4 on the scoreline. So, but Inter, good, nice little scoreline. I was quite impressed. Is anything you would mention specifically from this game?
Not really. I think we also, I think you covered it a lot. Like stats wise, Inter completely dominated Cremonese in all aspects of the game. 27 shots. We already discussed that. 7 big shots created. That's what is the big number that Inter fans should focus on, because it's not a boring match besides the goal, because every single time Inter is trying to produce something, they try the best and try to get to create those chances that can make you win the game. For all Inter fans, and probably also like for you, Antonio, there's a little latest news for Inter that's my assistants in the background are telling me. I'm speaking about Neymar. Neymar was offered to Inter from his entourage as an opportunity to play for Inter between April and May 2020. Oh no, he was offered for Inter. So imagine this Inter squad with Neymar. Marotta rejected that possibility of Neymar to play for Inter, and then Neymar opted to go in Brazil. But damn, imagine this Inter squad with Orey. What do you think about that?
Let's just say that if Marotta made a mistake, this may have been a mistake. Yeah, that would have been scary. That would have been a big no-no for me. I could have maybe have turned off my TV for the rest of the season. That would have been scary. Really, that would have been very scary to see. I don't know. I'm glad.
I think if you have the chance of getting Neymar, you should get it. No matter how old he is, or no matter how much money he wants. If you have the opportunity to get someone like Neymar, it not only brings quality to the football pitch if he stays healthy, or if it's not his sister's birthday in between the months he plays. But besides that, not only brings the quality, but it also brings a lot of numbers outside. I'm telling you, there's a lot of his fan base that will definitely go buy an Inter shirt and raise up his the Instagram accounts numbers of Inter and all the other social medias of Inter Milan. Neymar to Inter is something that I would have loved to see in my lifetime.
I'm finished. I can't. If you
Who
watch
knows?
this documentary, you'll see it. It's honestly, it's a laugh. It ends me. Look, if Inter has always had a beautiful, beautiful connection and history with Brazilian players, there have been numerous players that have worn that Inter shirt. And one of the biggest for me is, I'll say to you, Adriano. We've also talking about the R9, the original Ronaldo. Yeah, Inter's history with Brazilian players is actually it's like a poetic story. I think we can also say the same thing for Argentinian players. Inter just seems to attract these Southern Americans, specifically Brazilian or Argentinian players. So it would be quite a nice little collaboration there. Inter x Neymar would be quite cool. But I don't think that's going to happen. It would be quite an interesting one.
Players that played for Inter. I want to mention a few Argentinian players that played for Inter that are actually the OGs. One is, of course, Milito. But the other ones that only the real OG know is Riquelme. If people don't know, please go look at some highlights, because Riquelme was the Messi before Messi, and he was just poetic the way he played, and especially the way he played for Inter. A little name for some people that actually want to go deep into Inter's history. Yeah, you're right. South America was always very, very important in Inter's bloodline.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, we did do a bit of an appreciation post for Diego Milito on our social media platforms. I don't know. I had a bit of a reminiscing moment. I'm not an Inter fan, but Diego Milito is just crazy. Riquelme as well is a phenomenal player. So yes, I do agree with you. If you want some homework, guys, here's your grade 1 homework. Go and learn about the South American connection to Inter and how awesome it is. The history behind it is quite incredible. And I want to move over to another game where I don't know if you watched, but it was quite interesting. Bologna beating Pisa 4-0. Again, game where, I think you're really starting to see bottom of the barrel come out in Pisa. I really don't know how else to put this win. Bologna firing in all cylinders.
Yeah, they definitely did. I'm very upset with Pisa because until now, yes, they lost a lot of matches, but they always put on a fight. And this is the first time I've seen Pisa actually just drop the guns and pull out the white flag, like the nice old French people. So that was very disappointing to see as a someone that enjoys watching Pisa, and I can definitely tell you, I've never seen Pisa play like that in a while. Even in Serie B last year, they always put on a fight, and yeah, 4-0 is a very big negative result for Pisa. A lot changed, if I need to be honest, after the red card obtained by Touré in the 36th minute. That kind of changed the trajectory of the whole match. Bologna was already winning 1-0 with the goal of Cambiaghi, but I think that after the red card, it was just a landslide for Bologna. And yeah, they were just creating chances, creating goals. I'm happy to see again Orsolini play that well, scoring a goal alongside Moro and Odegaard. So if I'm a Bologna fan, I wouldn't be too happy because of course it was only Pisa in 10 men, but it's some hope, especially if you wanna confirm the results that you had the last seasons, and try to aim for those European spots that I think Bologna fans are getting used to it. So it's a good 3 points. 4 goals for 3 points. It doesn't get better than that. But I have a question for you, Antonio. Did you even know that Cuadrado was playing for Pisa? Because
Yes.
he's playing, and I want to hear your thoughts for an historic player like Cuadrado in Serie A back again.
I know that he's playing for Pisa. He's not young. That's the reality. When you ask, well, why would he go to Pisa? Remember that Cuadrado left Juve, went to Inter after I think it was 1 season at Inter, landed up at Atalanta the last season, and left Atalanta, and he's gone to Pisa. At the end of the day, his career is finished. He's not exactly young anymore. I think what's his name, Pepito or whatever. I don't know what they call him, but he has a specific name to him. He's a fantastic player, someone who had a very good career. I still remember the goals that this guy scored specifically for Juve in Champions League is something that will always be a standout for me. But it's a sad point to come to reality with. He's no longer young, and he's slowly falling into that cycle of players that are being phased out. So I feel like I should, give him a military salute and say thank you for your service. Yeah, his career is pretty much coming to an end, and Pisa's a nice way to let go. You never know, he might stand up at Palermo. Some experience could do good there.
That's true. But he's always pushing 38 years old, so it's not gonna be very, very young anymore. You speaking about Juve, I'm reminiscing the times when he was playing against Lecce and doing his little dances like that after the goals. Actual legend, in my opinion, Juan Cuadrado. The nickname that you are looking for is Panita, that was actually given by two close friends of his, namely Paulo Dybala and Gonzalo Higuain. Panita means a person who is always prepared to help friends and has a mischievous personality. So that's what his nickname is. And he also has another nickname, which is Vespa. And this nickname was given to him due to his speed and ability to make powerful runs across the flank, up the flank. So that was two of these nicknames that Juan Cuadrado earned alongside his big and very, very historic career, in my opinion. He's also a historic player for Colombia, and I can't wait to actually see him for the World Cup. Hopefully, he will be fit to play for Colombia because I love seeing Juan Cuadrado to play.
True. I'm going to move on to a game that's, man, I really thought that this would have been a turnaround point for Pioli. I really thought that, you're starting the game well and just maybe, this win would help him avoid, sharing a panettone with his family and rather sharing it with his players. But Roma didn't back down. They came back. Comeback story. It opened up with Moiskin scoring a goal. Very nice goal. But yeah, it didn't last long. Pioli ball is just, it is not it right now. Is it bad for me to say that maybe him losing his job would be the best thing for him? To actually just sit on the sidelines and, give yourself a second chance at the way you think about football and change your philosophy? Because it's not working for him. It really isn't working. What does Fiorentina do? Their next game is against Milan. It's probably his last game at this point. At what point do they call it quits with Pioli?
You're making a really valid point there, Antonio. I don't always agree with you when you have those bold statements, but with this one, I actually have to fully give it to you. I think Pioli has reached a point in his career that he can just enjoy his Saudi money that he received coaching Al Nassr, and he can actually give himself a break for a little bit and review his way of thinking about football, because right now Fiorentina, this is not it. You're standing with only 2 points after 4 games. It's the third time that is actually happening to Fiorentina since the 3-point era. This is not something that Fiorentina fans would want to see. You're actually very close to relegation, and seeing Fiorentina getting relegated to Serie B before teams like Udinese or Sassuolo again, it's something that would be very actually scary to see. Fiorentina has phenomenal players. You mentioned Ken that actually opened up the scorelines for the game against Roma. A little comment on Ken's form, especially for Italy, because for the national team he's been on fire. Like, he's only the 4th player for Italy to score in at least 4 consecutive games for the World Cup qualifications. The only 3 players before him were Luigi Riva, Roberto Bettega, and Filippo Inzaghi. So he joined a nice little squad of phenomenal players that played for Italy. So I want to see Ken very healthy. I want to see him succeed with Fiorentina, because he's going to be the player that will help Italy also achieve the World Cup dreams. So good luck, Fiorentina. But like you said, Antonio, it's time to let Pioli go.
Yeah, it's a sad one. It breaks my heart. It's time for a sabbatical for him. That's another way to put it. Something that it's something that, for me, SerieA needs to be the first to introduce it. There is nothing more that irritates me than a 0-0 scoreline. I've never been so upset with my own squad, let alone the opposition. I believe that if two teams, and this is maybe a moment that people might talk about, but SerieA should introduce a new footballing rule. A game that ends 0-0 should give you 0 points. Okay, you're wasting the fans' time, you're wasting everyone else's time. If you're not going there to win, okay, then you don't deserve points. If a goal is not scored, you don't deserve points. the 3-point error should be modified to say that if you draw 0-0, you don't get any points. But if you draw 1-1, you will get points. Juve Milan was terrible. I cannot say how much or how annoyed I was. The fact that the two teams actually played a good game of football and it was Milan's that they threw away their own victory. That was an easy win for Milan. All day, every day. Penalty, Leao missed close as well. I was so upset. Very, very angry. But at the same time, why I say you shouldn't give any points to either team, Tudor takes off his front three and doesn't put anything attacking on. Where's your mentality? Where's your logic? You're playing for a draw already at the 60th minute in the game. Madai, that's not football. All right, and that's not going to get you anywhere. And that's the reason why I say I look at that game, Juve is not winning the Serie A. They are not. And if you think that they are, your mentality is in the wrong place. They were going for a draw at home against Milan, where I, quite frankly, as a Milan fan, for the first 60 minutes of the game, felt that we could have lost this. We really, really, really could have lost that game. We were not showing any good football at all. We were not great. I felt that we were a shadow of the game against Napoli. We were not a team that did well. Another point that I'd like to bring up, and I'm going to bash the referee on this. The rule Dogzo exists for a reason. You have prevented a man from scoring. It should have been a straight red card for Kelly. And you can tell me any other way, that there is the biggest load of garbage. Should have been a red card. How do you give a foul in the box, okay, that is committed in the box, and you don't even give a yellow card, but you give the foul? So if you don't see a foul, then you don't call it. But if you see a foul in the box on a possible goal-scoring opportunity, you should apply the rules the way that they work. That for me was a red card. If anything, minimum it should have been a yellow. But for me, it should have been a red. And I hate it when these kinds of games are not dictated by the two teams on the field, but rather dictated by a referee who makes no sense. Locatelli should have gotten a red card. How many times are you going to commit the same foul over and over and over again? But you get one mistake that Bartezaghi makes by putting his arm out on Conceição running down the flank, and you give a straight yellow card on his first foul made. For me, a game that could have been a lot more than what it was, but I'm annoyed by the interference of the referee. I'm annoyed by the interference of the VAR as well, because also the VAR could also be a bit more strict in certain senses of when to interrupt and when not to interrupt. Yeah. I don't know how you felt about that game.
Well, that rant was personal, and I can actually feel you in probably like almost everything that you said, because it was a frustrating game for both ends, like 0-0. I have to say something though with the point that you made there, that 0-0 shouldn't give points. Usually 0-0 means that actually the defenders and the goalkeepers played better than the attackers, so it's also like a way to reward the defense rather than the attack. So that's like the only reason why I would actually say 0-0 sometimes is also good to be a 1-1. But you're right, when you see like the attitude of the coaches to just say, okay, you know what's happening, 0-0. Like let's just sit down at the back and we just park the bus, both teams. Let's just not try anything, because at the end of that game, I didn't see anything worth of an highlight. Pulisic doing that mistake on the penalty. What do you think about that? It's a missed goal that could have possibly like wasted the 3 points for Milan. But Pulisic right now has been the best player for Milan and for the Serie A.
Yeah, well, what I feel about it, mistakes happen. You can't rely on one player to win you every game. I think that, even if he missed the penalty, Pulisic didn't drop his head. He was still by far someone who kept pushing. A player for me, though, that I will call out, and I am going to call him out, is Rafael Leao. He's a phenomenal talent. That's undisputed. Someone who can even go as far as to win the Ballon d'Or if he just, actually focused on his football and only is football. I don't know how to feel about this, Ange. I feel like for me, if I'm Milan, this is his make or break season. Either he does or he gets out. Like, either he performs or you put him on a ship and you ship him off to the highest bidder, because you don't come on and bar this thing of if you're 50% fit or not, or you're not 100% fit, you are in front of the goal.
Yeah.
You have to score.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me you have 7 Napoli players running after you to defend you, but in front of the goal, you cannot bury the ball. You bury it in the advertising board. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Your name is Rafael Leao. A sniff-at goal should be a goal. I don't know.
Yeah, these players are paid to put so much work and just so that they can live the best life that they possibly can with their families, with nice cars, nice house. Like this is an interesting quote from a Spanish guy that's a Spanish fan that said that. So, like, you paid so many millions to just kick the ball, and then when it's actually your job to do that and hit the bottom of the net, you completely mess. That was such a missed opportunity for Milan, even more as the missed penalty of Pulisic. So you're very right to saying that Leao, he has the potential to be a Ballon d'Or. He has the potential to carry Portugal to win the World Cup. But right now he's not there. I don't know if it's a mental aspect of the game that's lacking, or a physical game that right now he hasn't found his own form. But Allegri did notice it, and there's a reason why he's not playing that much under Allegri.
I can answer it for you. Boom. What an idiot. I don't even know what to say, man. I really just... Man, literally, I've never in my life... There have been things where Allegri has pretty much given everyone a striptease. The thing he said to Leao before getting onto the field is enough for me to say that Allegri is not scared to say to Leao, ciao, ciao. There's the door, vattene. Right. Yeah. I don't even know if I want to speak more about this game, because I'm fed up with Juve for taking off Yildiz and Conceição, and the fact that people somehow think that Jonathan David and Openda are good. I mean, the guy literally fell on his face trying to kick the ball. They are not Juve quality. They are not Juve material. I don't know what Juve is trying to do there, and something that Michel Platini also called out in that event with the Gazzetta dello Sport. He did call him out on that. Something that I want to highlight, knowing that SerieA is the league for me, and it's the way that I'll define it, the team who makes the least amount of mistakes wins the league. An interesting stat came out on OneFootball this week. I'm sure everyone must have seen it. But back in 1994, Milan won the Serie A with just 35 league goals and only conceding 15 goals in total. And to put it into perspective, Udinese and Atalanta just scored 1 goal less, and both of those teams were relegated. So these matches matter. Leao missing a goal right in front of the goals matters. It's not a joke.
Another team that we also didn't spend a lot of time in this episode about. It's a team that also, like you said, is very clinical when it's time to finish, and it's also very good defensively. And the one team is Roma alongside Milan, because Roma right now, Anto, they're actually on fire. Like they won the first 3 away games in Serie A for the 4th time in their history of the 91 and 2017. So it's been a joy to watch this new Gasperini side, and also they're being carried from the Serie A's superstar that we've been seeing, especially this season. And I'm talking about Matthias Sule. 7 games, 3 goals, 2 assists. Right now, it's just unstoppable.
I hear you, but I'm only going to come with one counter argument. Roma hasn't had a test yet, a real test. And that's why this weekend, the 18th of October at 9:15, is going to be a massive test for Roma. Roma's game against Inter will, for me, define how this season goes for them. If Roma is actually going to compete for the Scudetto, it will be a game against Inter where we will know if Roma is actually in it. All their wins for now have been a scrappy 1-0 here, 2-1 over there, come back over here. They haven't really had much of a space for them to, fully express themselves, and I'm talking about against big teams. So this weekend is going to be a huge weekend. I think we covered all the games that we watched on Matchday 6 alongside the Azzurri. I just want to do quick little fire questions in terms of Matchday 7, this up and coming weekend. What are your predictions? And so forth. So we're going to start with Urbano Caro's team. So Torino, a casa versus Napoli. What do you think is going to happen there?
I think it's going to be a nice, comfortable win for Napoli. I'm going to say 2-0 for Napoli.
Nice. Yeah, 2-0. I'm going to agree with you. The exact same scoreline. My half, 2-0. I'm going to go, because we'll leave the very juicy ones for last, Atalanta versus Lazio.
Atalanta versus Lazio is going to be a nice, interesting game. I think it's going to be a close one, but I feel like Atalanta now has a nice quality difference that they can use at their advantage. So I'm just going to say Atalanta 1, Lazio 0.
Yeah, I'm also feeling an Atalanta win. I think 1 is correct. I think they will win by 1. Milan-Fiorentina.
Milan-Fiorentina. So right now we have two different squads. One that is contenders for a Scudetto, and one is just so much in crisis that they've been very close to the relegation zone. My prediction is that Milan will win. It won't be a big win, but I think it's going to be like a 2-1 for Milan.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel a 3-0. I really think that Pioli going out he's going to go out in such a bad way. It's sad to say, but I just don't see him leaving on very good terms. Like, he'll leave in the sense that it's like he's had a terrible stint. And I think he's just going to give up. I'm sure at halftime it will be 1-0, and by the end of it will be 3-0. Sad to say, but yeah. Then, a fixture that I think is going to deliver fireworks. Very interesting time to play this match. I actually really like this time because it allows everyone around the world pretty much to watch it. At 12:30 on Sunday is Como versus Juventus. Very good game to watch. And I don't know why I'm seeing a 3-2 last situation minute. I can't decide who's going to win. Como can win, but so can Juve. So I'm going to give a scoreline of 3-2, but it can go either way.
3-2 for who? You said either way. You don't know which team.
I can't. Either way, Como can win it 3-2 or Juve can win it 3-2. I can't give a team to win.
But you're predicting many goals for the fans to enjoy.
Yeah, I think it will be a great game to enjoy. It will be brilliant.
Yeah. In my opinion, I'm looking at Juventus form right now. They still are unbeaten, so it's something that will definitely play at their advantage. They probably still want to keep that unbeaten run as long as they can. I don't think they have enough, especially in the midfield, to counter Fabregas' tactical masterclass in the midfield. So I'm thinking a draw for this match. Classic 1-1, but full of emotions.
Possible. Then, for me, the highlight of this weekend, Roma-Inter. That's going to be, it's on Saturday at 9:15. I'm going to say the first real test for this Roma side. Something that they've been missing. I don't know how to feel about this. I know if Alex was here, he's saying already 6-0, but Alex, you're not here, and I love you very much, but we got to be a bit more realistic. Inter's going to beat you.
Damn, that's
What do you think?
I'm gonna completely disagree with you. I'm gonna go on the other side. And I can tell you also why. So Roma right now, only 2 goals conceded in 6 games. So we're talking about Gasperini's organization in defense versus Kivo's attacking philosophy. Because Inter right now has scored 17 goals, which is the most in the Serie A. But they have Marcus Thuram injured. So this is gonna be also interesting challenge for Inter, especially because they're facing such a strong defensive team. Then also Roma has a home advantage, which usually helps Roma a lot. It's always very difficult to play at the Stadio Olimpico with all those fans screaming and singing their anthem. So I feel like their home advantage and the defensive solidity will have the edge in this game. Roma 2, Inter 1.
Yeah, that's a sport, dude. That's gonna be a good game. If Roma win, I will make a clip and post this because that is an interesting one.
Oh yeah, I wanted to just say that you did a really good point earlier, saying this is the first challenge that Roma is having. So I'm really, really excited to see if Roma is up there with the big teams for a reason or not. Because the big question that everyone's asking, are Roma genuine title contenders? And I feel like this match will definitely show some hints to answer that question.
Yeah, it's a very awesome point to have brought up. I want to just mention one last thing, and it's totally off topic, but just a little update for our viewers and people who are obviously watching the podcast. It was recently the Italian Giornata dello Sport, which is the day of Italian sports around the world. Now, that was the reason that Gazzetta dello Sport had their Festival dello Sport on their side in Italy and invited a bunch of other players and people to come speak about their time in sports. It varied from many, many different, I want to say, industries around the world. So you had MotoGP and you had Bastianini talk and so forth. And they also went on to Serie A. You had people, like I said, Michel Platini, Zidane. They spoke about Maradona, but you had Zidane, Platini, Balotelli, Ibrahimovic, and obviously spoke about multiple points from Pioli Esposito to Camarda and so forth. But we had the same thing over here in South Africa. And I was fortunate enough to be invited to go and see this event, which was Giornata dello Sport qui in South Africa, that spoke about Italy's connections with South Africa. And something that really, really was quite awesome and spoken about is the OR Tambo Soncini Games. So what this is a connection that exists between South Africa and a certain region within Italy, Reggio Emilia. And it's an annual youth sports event that is held here in South Africa to promote social cohesion and celebrate the legacy of anti-apartheid activists, and specifically referring to OR Tambo. And the reason why it exists here today is there was a relationship between Oliver Tambo, Giuseppe Soncini, who was the Italian host of The Exiled Man in Italy. So they touched on quite a bit of history alongside what was going on in South Africa, printing newspapers and obviously spreading the news in the Reggio Emilia region. So it's quite an awesome little event that happens. There's a big collaboration between the municipality of Gauteng and the Italian city of Reggio Emilia. So it's been going on for a good couple of years and is focused between children from the age of 15 to 19 years old. And they compete in many different sports: football, basketball, rugby, athletics, swimming, chess. So a very awesome little thing that happens over here in South Africa. And it's a little connection between Italy and South Africa. Then the next point that I want to talk about is, and I want to do an episode in more depth about it, is we also covered a specific person that was the first South African player to play in the top 5 or in top European leagues, Kalamazoo. Also, well, that's what he was known as, Kalamazoo, but Steve Mokoena, he was the first South African to play professional football in Europe. And what makes this so special is Kalamazoo played for Torino in the 1960 to 1961. And he became the first South African to play in Italy. Just a little interesting fact, he had started his international career or his European career in 1955 with Coventry City and landed up playing for a number of clubs alongside Hercules in the Netherlands and Cardiff City, and then played in France with Marseille, and then went on loan from to Barcelona as well as playing for Valencia, and then landed up playing at Torino. At the event, an awesome little letter was read by a gentleman, and the letter was addressed in 2015 to the then Minister of Sports, was Fikile Mbulula, from the president of Torino, Urbano Cairo, that spoke about how important Kalamazoo's history was for South African sports and the connection between Italy and South Africa beginning in the 1960s through him being the first South African to ever play in Italy, 1960-1961 season. So I was lucky enough to attend that event, and we'll look at doing a episode, hopefully, should I find or get in contact with the right people about it, about Kalamazoo and his whole history going up to leading into playing for Torino. So that's just something nice to talk about and something I just wanted to mention. But the first ever South African to play in Europe, I did not know about, and something that most South Africans don't know about. Steve Mokena, also known as Kalamazoo or the Black Meteor.
An interesting fact about the Black Meteor, what a awesome journey that he had. A quick little fun fact is that there's a street named after him in Almelo, Netherlands. And there's also a biography book, the Zwarte Meteor, which was written by Tom Egbert. It was later made into a film. He's such an inspiration for many South Africans, and it's just beautiful to see someone that succeeded from South Africa to Europe in an era where it wasn't very easy to do so. So props to him, and props to this beautiful story.
I think that is an awesome way to end off the episode. Ange, thank you very much. Tom was quite interesting in the last thing he had to tell our subscribers or our viewers of this podcast. Would you like to give the message this time round, or can I do it?
You can go for it, Antonio.
All right, guys. If you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe. It is really, really awesome when you guys do. Please also do us all a favor and drop some comments. There's a lot coming on the way. This channel is growing exponentially. So, guys, thank you very much for everything you are doing. Please like, subscribe, and we will continue to bring as much content as we possibly can. And hopefully very soon a live podcast with all of us together. So thank you very much. And Ange, buonanotte. Grazie mille, and keep well. To the rest of the viewers, keep well, guys. E Forza Italia, and what's the Asambe, South Africa? Well done for qualifying for the World Cup.